Tengku Zafrul, you want to define what you define as talent? Do you agree with Reza, or you can give your own definitions?
Okay, well, Reza is the subject matter expert on talent management. But I agree with what Reza said in terms of definition of talent. For us, we look at, there are two parts, I think similar to what Reza spoke about. One is the ability to adapt within the organization. Because in our industry, and I think in the service sector industry in general, you must not just have the merits, what do you call it, the capabilities must be there, but in terms of the understanding of how to execute that, understanding of how things work within an organization, and also how you address some of the challenges. So it's about problem-solving skills. There's a long list to talk about definition of talent. But in general, you're right. I agree with Reza on his definition. Maybe Dr. Johan can elaborate on that as well.
Yeah, obviously, I got to agree with Reza and Tengku. I would point to Zafrul, if you like, as being an example of talent. Very adaptable. He's moved a number of different industries, been very successful in each of these. Also, it shows that talent gets involved. Talent is the kind of people that get involved in things, and Zafrul is like that. Tengku Zafrul started up another organization, which Pramuda, which sort of a precursor to YCM, and we were very involved with him at that stage, and that was exactly the kind of thing that like you guys are doing now. People who get stuck in, get involved, have a goal, actually produce the goods, and it's something outside of work, and why you do it is for the greater good of their colleagues. I would say something else though. In addition to all that, the hard skills, adaptability, things like EQ, but also the ability. Now, this is not about how to get the job, land the job, or whatever. Let's assume we all land the job. A lot of people land the job, but actually inside they don't have integrity. And that is, and I mentioned that before, in kind of joking angle on the diversity, integrity, highly important. You can have all the skills in the world, but if you are somehow involved in trying to cheat your fellow man, whether it's your customers or your suppliers or your shareholders or anything, then really all your hard skills outweighed by this integrity factor. Integrity is highly important. You look at the CEOs of companies that have collapsed recently overseas or even here, integrity is key. So I think that is maybe there's an X factor, there's probably a Y factor, and that's integrity.
Okay, so we have heard what is the definition of talent, and before I throw it back out to you all, I'm going to ask all our three speakers today on how do you retain these people. Like just now you see like Dato Johan asked the question of how many want to work overseas. Many PwC people in front of Dato raise their hands. So maybe I'll throw this to Dato first. How are you going to keep them? And I know you're going to speak to them on Monday morning, but other than that, how do you keep them?
Monday's not long enough to speak to everybody. That point about overseas, 88, we did a survey in PwC on Gen Y because we wanted to know about our Gen Y, why they're different from us, baby boomers or Gen X's like Reza and so on. And we found that amongst many things, worrying things, like 88% of people want to work overseas. Then I thought, well, why is it worrying? I worked for 10 years overseas myself. It did me a lot of good. Why should that be a bad thing? So many of these things, actually, we just have to compromise with, go with the flow. So can't go through all the things we tried to do, but we spend, I would say, half our time on this area. One of the things will be global mobility or regional mobility, trying to get people placed out into other PwC offices where they will spend periods of time, 2 years, 1 year, half a year, whatever the thing is, or even assignments, and so they actually see the world. People might want to say, I would like to work in the UK. However, an assignment in Vietnam at its stage of life that it's going through now might be actually equally challenging and very good for their CV and very good for their development. You never know. So we try to place people to satisfy that wanderlust of 88% wanting to work overseas. That's just one aspect I would mention.
Tengku Zafrul?
I think the key factor is remuneration, compensation. No matter what Dato Johan say, you know, at the end of the day, most of the people I talk to, they will start off with, you know, how much am I getting out of this? How much is the company willing to pay me? I think this is similar to Conferry. When you look at retaining talent, one of the key factors is obviously you have to reward them accordingly. They have, most of the young corporate Malaysians, young professionals, they know how to price themselves. They think they know how to price themselves, sorry. I'm speaking, I'm wearing my other hat now. So, but at the same time, there are instances where people do stay not just because of the salary, not just because of the compensation, but also because they enjoy what they're doing. I think there's a balance between the two things. You have to make sure that you reward the staff fairly so that they know, because market is getting more efficient. People know the guy in another bank or the guy in another firm, they can benchmark their salary. So if they feel that they're not being paid fairly, they will leave. And secondly, if they think that what they're doing is something that they enjoy, then they also stay. I mean, those are, I think, the two things that are always in their mind.
Okay, before I pass to Reza, I'll hold you for a while first. Okay, how many of you think you are underpaid? Okay, so for all the HR people, these are the people maybe you can recruit. How many of you enjoy your work? How many of you feel that you're underpaid and don't enjoy your work? So these are the potential target of people that will switch company. Reza, so how are you going to push these people? And I will give you two questions. One is, from a headhunting perspective, how are you going to push these people to other companies? And assume that they are your staff, how are you going to retain them?
Okay, it's my turn to disagree slightly with Tengku Zafrul. I'll take a two-step back again. Before you talk about retaining talent, I think it's also important when you acquire the talent. I think it's important. I mean, raise your hands. Any of you, when you join your company, who has got a very good orientation program? Good, but as you can see, it's quite a few, right? Have you imagined, I mean, you spend so much time trying to acquire that good talent, only not to spend enough resources and time and money and whatever else in terms of ensuring that that person succeed when he or she comes through that door. That is so important. So before you even talk about retaining, you got to make sure that you have the right orientation program first, right? Now that's the first part. I can tell you for sure that, in fact, and let me ask you a question again. If there is a company that's going to pay you, let's say, $1,000 more, is that the real reason why you're going to leave? Raise your hands. Okay, make it 2,000 more. On the assumption that you are happy where you are. If you're very happy in your current employer, if there's another company that's going to pay you even say 5,000 more, are you going to move? Raise your hands again. 5,000 more. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Given where...
I'm right then.
Okay. But, you know, we've done a survey, right? The reason why people really leave is because the environment is not right. Right? Why? You talk about environment. More so, of course, you got to understand in terms of where the career stages are. Right? In where you guys are, I assume you all are gainfully employed, you've got great jobs, you all are smart people, you're probably up managers by now, I'm sure, right? But, you know, if you hit a ceiling effect, for example, when you know you've worked hard and you're not going to get your recognition or promotion for that matter, only because your next boss is going to be there for the next 5, 10 years. So how do you move up? This is one example.